Good morning. Today is May 19th, and I thought I would just do a quick walk around my yard. First thing in the morning. It's about 8 o'clock. You can see my gardenias have started blooming. I have a border of gardenias around all my plants in the front. It is rush hour traffic in the front yard, so I apologize for that, but it is what it is. Here's my sable palmetto that has sent up some flower spikes. And here's my little side yard. You can see here my Easter lilies are blooming. They're not doing fantastically well, but considering they're about 5 years old, I'm tickled to see them come back at all. I didn't get any Easter lilies this year. For some reason, this was a bad year for Easter lilies. You can see the nandinas are in full bloom. The bees really love them. I'll zoom up to the flowers eventually. The bees really work them over when it's sunlight. That's my den window. I can sit in my recliner and watch the bees working and the birds getting at the bird feeder. Not much else going on here. This is mostly a fall garden, being that it's camellias. Not much else of note going on out here right now. Well, I guess I do have one flower blooming here. I planted a bunch of them, but they didn't do well. These are the bananas that I did not cut back this winter, and the frost never killed them. So it's a protected area in this little nook of the front yard. Inside the middle, I don't know if you can see it. This is a Sago Palm, and that's what a female looks like in the center. No activity yet on my lilies of the Nile, but they're very green, so they will be blooming. You can see the inside of my picket fence. It looks pretty nice. I did try putting some seeds in there this year, but I guess the birds got to them or something, so they haven't done really well. And I have planted tomatoes here in the past. I've got a tomato basically here and at the inside of the other corner, and what I'm going to do is let them grow along the top of the picket fence. Okay. Something that I planted new is back in here. There used to be a pride of Mobile azalea, and since I had luck on the other side of the front porch with the banana that lasted through the winter, I thought I would try an Australian tree fern. So I bought a little Australian tree fern this year. My little seating area with my pelargonium. These are some of my other chrysanthemums. I bought them last Thanksgiving for some fall color, and rather than disposing of them, I just planted them in the yard, and they're doing well. This area I've cleaned out. I've got three, I don't know what you'd call them, I guess tuteurs, French term, just metal trellises. And I planted this green and white ivy to fill them. This one did really well. That I planted last year. The other two, the ivy died in, so I just replanted them about a week ago. I had a lot of ivy here. This used to be thick with ivy, But you can see my new cellar door. Basically, they put that wall in underneath my house this spring, and in doing so, tromped all over my ivy, which I know will come back. It's one of the beauties of having any kind of construction done if you have gardens. They will be destroyed, but nature will recover. Oh, of note is my neighbor's white rose of Sharon. It leans on my side because this is the east sun that it faces, and I kind of like the archway, so I let it grow. And I pruned up this camellia. It was looking kind of sad, so I'm going to try and get it into a tree shape. I planted a little rose of Sharon here last year, figuring I'd match the one on the other side. This is a double white. Here's an old garden sign that I got through the mail many years ago. Here you can see this is a melon-colored trumpet flower, angel's trumpet, I should say. It has risen above the aspidistra, and so the slugs aren't eating it anymore. This is where I planted one of those Lenten roses this year. I've got 4 of them in the backyard. I've got them in different spots. I read in Horticulture magazine that they will grow in this zone, but I've never tried before. I've never had the opportunity because I haven't seen them. So this year when I saw them available, I bought them. Lily of the Valley bush is greening out nicely. Ouch. That gate always gets me when I go to close it. I don't know what currently is eating or drinking the sugar water, but I haven't seen any hummingbirds yet, and it disappears once a week. Not too much going on here. I'm kind of now in summer mode in the backyard. It's just a matter of keeping the jungle at bay because everything now wants to grow, 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 grow. So I've been trimming camellias and the like. I'm going to have to trim down some of this purple wandering Jew and spread it around. Just about done with these tall flowers here that I can't think of the name of right now. Let's see what else is going on back here. My ichroma is doing well. I do have some blooms on my butterfly bush. It is spindly because it's in pretty much deep shade over here, but it does get, one gets morning sun, one gets afternoon sun. Oh, I did replant. I got rid of all the red snapdragons and I put in vincas. Haven't tried vinca before in this spot, but I thought I would this year. And now you can see the tawny daylilies have really, well, they're now above the foliage. In this corner, I've got Aspadistra. I got this years ago at the side of the road because I knew what it was. It grows wild here in this zone. And I put it in my backyard, and I think I planted it here, and it has underground runners and little bulblets, and it spread throughout the whole backyard. Don't ask me how, but it did it. So I've kind of restricted, it's easy to pull up, so I've restricted it to there. Bougainvillea is now no longer in bloom, but it's still looking healthy. My toad lilies are doing well. I've staked them up in readiness for them to get, they'll get about twice as tall as they are now. Again, here's my butterfly bush. Another one. The blossom on the Sonoran rapans is doing well. Oh, you can see how the cycads have definitely leafed out. Everything here is still growing pretty well. I did want to show you the male blossom. It does have a fragrance, actually. I guess the pollen. Let's see if I can get a better shot of it. There it is. It'll get about twice as tall as it is right now. It has a kind of a spicy, sweet fragrance. I don't know. Oh, I take that back. No, it has no fragrance. The spicy sweetness that I'm smelling is my jelly palm. There you see the blossom, and fruit has started to appear. It's kind of a sweet honey smell, and I think a little bit of like rancid butter. Not quite a selling feature of the fruit, but it is what it is. It's primarily sweet. Ladyfinger palm is doing really well. I guess these sagos are still immature because they don't really have either a male or a female flowering part just yet. Not much else going on over here. My strawberries are still producing. I get 1 or 2 strawberries a day. I did get rid of the snapdragons here in front of my bathing Venus statue. I'm going to spread some more of these wandering Jews in here. They seem to do well, and I don't have to fuss with them in the summer, so it's one less thing to have to keep watered. I am getting some little fruits on my satsuma. This is my lemon tree. It has no lemons. It had a few blossoms, but no lemons this year. More Easter lilies. Before I planted this palm here, it used to be very sunny, and the palm is now casting shade for everything here. This cycad has definitely bushed out. Palms are still doing well. Still flowers on these vines, but they're not quite as strong anymore. My little succulent dish. I've got a whole bunch of, I call them hens and chicks. Some people call them house leeks. I'm trying to propagate them. They're rather expensive to buy, and you only get 1 in a pot, and they do spread eventually. So I thought I would grow them in this pot for a while, and then eventually, when I get enough of them, put them in a strawberry pot. I used to have that years ago, a strawberry pot full of hens and chicks, and it looked really nice. Of course, it's good all year long. And there you can see the jasmines look really nice. I've got 1 bottle brush blooming. I cut that bush back by half, so I cut most of the blossoms off, but it just has 1. It used to be a sunny spot until this tree grew, and so it's not sunny anymore. Blueberries still haven't ripened, but they're getting closer and closer. I imagine the birds will get to them before I do. Here you can see the nandinas are starting to come back already after I cut them back. The tops of them are coming out. They're not going to have any fruit this year. When you cut them back this severely, they don't bloom, and so there won't be any red berries this year. Oh, I am going to add my new Phacahedra cutting at the base of this to thicken it out a little down there, because it has rooted nicely. And here's a white angel's trumpet making its way out of the Aspadistra. Here's the red chrysanthemums are fixing to bloom. The banana trees are now over my head. We had a little bit of hail last week, and that's why the banana leaves are a little broken up. I've got some more buds on my angel's trumpet, the datura. I did finally replace the flowers that were here, and I chose to put these flax lilies in their place. They are evergreen perennials, so I'm going to keep them there until I get sick of them and then plant them in the yard. I don't put them in dirt. You'll see that they're in pots in this window box. Here in the South, you really don't want to put a window box with dirt right next to your house, because it will rot it. And as you can tell from the window frame, we have a problem with rust as well. But I've been watching a lot of these antiquing shows, and you can get through a 22-step procedure. You too can make your window frames look just like this old rusty, I guess you'd call it weathered look, patina. You can get a beautiful old patina on your windows. This is new. I just bought this week. It's a pitcher plant. It's a different type of pitcher plant. What is it called? I'll have to get the tag out to see. Nepenthes. And it seems to like it here because the pitcher, you can tell it's growing. They will have large pitchers. And here's baby drinking some water. I don't have guttering on my house, so when the water runs off the roof that fills these watering cans, I see some moss has started growing in the top of my potted plants. That's my species Amaryllis that bloomed this year. Oh, here's the Phacahedra that I was telling you about I'm going to plant. You can see it's got 2 new sprouts, actually 3 sprouts on it, and it's taken off, so I'm going to put it in the ground because obviously it's rooted. I guess you could, if you take cuttings from it, you can use the old leaves as an indicator or an indication of whether or not the roots have caught, because those old leaves were wilted down against the stem, but once when it got roots, they lifted up again, and you'd never notice the difference. Here's my torch begonia blooming. This is about 5 years old. You can see it's got beautiful clusters of flowers. That was one that I knocked out of the pot and put some fresh dirt in. Caladiums that I talked about earlier in the year are now coming out of the ground, and it's 2 blossoms. This is new. I reworked my strawberry pot. I like these begonias that blush red on the tips. And I went back, I bought a dozen. You take this strawberry pot takes a dozen plants. But when I went back to get more, they were sold out. I forgot what this purple thing is called, but somehow I think it's related to the flax lilies. These little green things, those are cuttings. I don't know what they are. They're some kind of a succulent, and they came from over here. They had looped down over the pot and were looking kind of sickly, so I cut them off and cut off all the dead and planted them in that other pot. This was originally just one stick, one of these, that was plopped in the top of this pot about 2 years ago. So it spreads pretty rapidly. Let's see, that plant is sprouting out. It's a golden chalice vine. This too is a golden chalice vine, but this one I had in the house and it hasn't sprouted out yet. It will. My papyrus is looking really well. And I also got some gaillardia yesterday and planted it. So I've got a little bit of color. I'm trying to bring some red on the deck. And of course my other pitcher plants are still doing well. The sarracenias. Unfortunately for that pot, I probably shouldn't have planted them in that particular pot because it's got the wide rim. And when I go eventually to repot that in another year or two, I like the sarracenia more than the pot. So I'm probably going to have to break the pot to get the sarracenia out. Horsetail's still doing well. And my roses are doing okay. The nice thing about Oklahoma is they are resistant to disease. And so every time I let these long stalks grow for flowers, and then I cut them back after they bloom, so they keep sending up more and more flowers, but the green stays pretty nice all year round. Well, there you have it. A lot is going on in the backyard. Like I say, I pretty much have to start my summer pruning to keep the jungle at bay. And that's it. Have a good day.